Welcome back to the Sports Max Zone. We reported on the show Thursday that Grenadian World Javelin Champion Anderson Peters was involved in an altercation with crew members of the Harbour Master party boat that is in the Spice Isle for the Spice Mas festivities. Reports over the last 24 hours are that 5 crew members, including the captain of the vessel, who are all Trinidad and Tobago nationals, were arrested and are expected to be charged in connection with Wednesday evening's incident. Though Peters' injuries were not life-threatening, there is concern about injuries to the athlete's ankle and elbow. Well, President of the Caribbean Association of Caribbean Olympic Committees, CANOC, Brian Lewis, joined in condemning the incident. He said this: "There are no words to adequately express my regret, disappointment and dismay at what was seen on the video of an altercation involving Grenada and the Caribbean sport hero Anderson Peters. We at CANOC wish Anderson a speedy and full recovery, even as the Grenada police conduct a full investigation to ascertain the facts about what transpired." In resolving and de-escalating conflict, acts of violence can't be condoned. We trust that Anderson, with support from his family, friends and the Grenada Olympic movement, will fully recover. There are lessons from this unfortunate situation that we can all learn from as we continue to mentor and nurture and support our Caribbean athletes, youth and young people to fulfill their potential and aspirations. Brian Lewis, President of Caribbean Association of National Olympic Committees. Trinidad and Tobago's honorary consulate also issued a statement on the matter on Friday. They said, "The honorary consulate for the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago in Grenada wishes to advise the public that the very unfortunate incident involving national hero Anderson Peters has been subject of ongoing communication between the government of Trinidad and Tobago and the government of Grenada. From the night of the incident, Senator the Honorable Dr. Amory Brown, Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, reached out to the Honorable Joseph Andel, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Trade and Export Development of Grenada. In their communication, Minister Brown expressed his regret and concern for the health and well-being of Mr. Peters and requested regular updates and information on the facts of the matter. Since this initial engagement, both ministers have continued to remain in contact, expressing mutual hope that justice would be fully served." Joining us now is Peters' coach, Paul Phillip. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to you and to the Sportsmax family.
It's so unfortunate that, Coach, we have to talk to you about such an incident involving Anderson Peters, especially because he had such a good showing this year. Can you give us an update on, what's the latest you've heard from him? Have you been in conversation with him?
Oh, yeah. Well, I have been with him from the night of the incident. I wasn't at the event, but I immediately made myself present to offer whatever support was needed by him at the time and his family. Daily we have been in communication. As a matter of fact, we spent almost the whole day together yesterday, moving through the routines of getting medical assistance, gathering whatever information there was to be able to put it forward for a case, and also meeting with his legal team.
Paul, so based on what Anderson would have told you, can you tell us what really happened? Because, we've seen the videos, but we haven't heard from Anderson himself. What did he say to you?
He said that he was leaving the ship at the time of the incident, and then really someone from the vessel would have asked him to expedite his movement, really, and there was some delays, and it resulted in one person, jumping him, as local parlance would say, jumping him, and then it ended up that ugly scene that we've come to know.
Coach Phillip, the reports had suggested that he isn't badly hurt, but we understand that there is some concern from your standpoint based on what he does, which is an elite athlete. There's some elbow and ankle concerns that need to be addressed?
Oh yeah, well, as a javelin thrower, your ankles are very important, and more so the ankle that is in question now is his left ankle. That is the one, he's a right-handed thrower, so that is the one that he blocks with, if you're familiar with javelin throwing. And if you can't put that ankle, that leg down, and that ankle cannot take the strain to support you, you can't really throw, you know. So being that this ankle it's medically reported as it has a sprain, that makes it very difficult to judge right now what would happen to him going forward in the rest of the season.
And what about the elbow issue? Is that the throwing arm, or is it his left arm?
The elbow, there are just bruises to the elbows and knees, right? So it doesn't hinder movement. Just yet, we haven't gone to the track, for example. We haven't done anything sport-wise since. So I cannot say that the bruises on the elbow would impact his throwing right now. Yeah. The major concern is his ankle. If you can't run, then you can't really block properly. So this is the major concern. The elbow is minor as of now. I am endeavoring to give him a few more days to rest up, because the rest of the body, there are other areas on the body. His rib cage, his shoulder, close to the neck area, his side of his face, his jawbone. There's some concerns there. There's some swelling. There's some discomfort that would hinder proper movement. So we give him some time, let some adjustments take place, and then we will move to possibly about Monday or Tuesday to test the body, as it were, to see what kind of shape he's in.
Yeah. Well, Coach Phillip, there are so many troubling dimensions to this story, but I am at the moment just focusing on his competition readiness. What would have been his next scheduled meet, and will he be able to make that meet?
His next scheduled meet would be Diamond Leagues. I think the next one would have been on the 26th or so. That I think should be in Lausanne. I'm not so certain. Now my head is not really in the proper space, but I can tell you that it is the next Diamond League. As for readiness, as I said, we would have to carry out a little bit of a physical test to make sure that he can indeed complete a javelin throw before we make a decision as to say he has to call off the season, or he has to call off that meet and do the next one. We have to go through that routine of making sure that the body is functioning in a manner that would allow him to be competitive. Because, I mean, you must appreciate he's had a tremendously impressive season, and we don't want to put him out there to be humiliating himself if he's not ready.
Coach, if this thing did well, how many days holiday was Anderson enjoying?
Well, it was, we came in on Tuesday. Wednesday, because he sustained a little bit of a discomfort on his last throw in Birmingham, and we were giving him a rest, so today he would have been back on the job. We would have rested that injury. It did not prevent him from moving, but it would prevent him from giving his best when he's in that side-on position in the last few strides of the javelin. So we would have given that a rest, test it out. Of course, there was therapy being done to it. So then we would have started back work today.
So it's fair to say he was trying to squeeze every bit of enjoyment he could out of that very, very short window, the break that you gave him.
Yeah, I think this is it's fair to say that this was the possibly the only activity that he would have had relating to carnival.
Yeah.
And I must say here, he's not really a carnival person because, well, he has not been to carnival since maybe 2012, 2013. Simply because all of the major meets take place around that time.
Yeah.
So he has to be out of island or in serious training.
Yeah. Coach, I would imagine that a man like Anderson Peters has his corporate sponsors, especially some who would be outside Grenada. Has anybody been in touch to ask about the welfare of your athlete?
Yes. We here in Grenada we have a brand sponsor. They have been in touch right after the news broke. His agent has been in touch with us. Has been in touch with the legal team and everybody surrounding him. So everybody who is associated with him has been on board and has reached out to him daily, sometimes more than once for the day. Persons from the entities that support him would be reaching out for comment. And that is reaching out to me, not to him, because he has been kind of avoiding being in the spotlight that kind of way.
Yeah.
So I have been very close to the family from since, so I have been taking the calls, I've been doing the explanations.
Has he yet given a statement to the police? Has he been interviewed?
Yes. He has been interviewed by the police and all of the formalities of formulating a case has been done, and that's where he's at that.
Would that include, Coach? Would that include, and pardon me for being deliberate with these questions, I just want to paint the full picture for the viewers so they have all the information, and you're very close to the action, so I'm using the opportunity to ask. You say he has been interviewed. Has he participated in a formal identification parade to say, him, these were the men who assaulted me?
No. I cannot say that. I haven't been there if that took place. But I know that the police have been having interviews with him, some of which, well, I am not able to attend.
Yeah.
Right, and subsequently, I try not to be asking too much of personal and private questions. Yeah. Yeah.
That's going to be a very important part of the case, though, because he has to identify those who assaulted him. That process looks as if it will come. At this, I hear you mention lawyers about 3 times so far in your conversation with us. Is it that at this stage you can say whether he's going to leave this as a criminal matter, the police will do their investigation, it will be a criminal matter, or is he at this early stage preparing to also launch civil proceedings against his alleged assault, the men who assaulted him?
There's a legal team working closely with Anderson and his family at this stage, and I think that there is criminal proceedings on the way. As to whether or not a civil end of it is being pursued, I'm not quite sure at this moment.
The family, I want to ask you, the reaction of his family to what happened to him, especially after them seeing the images of their loved one being assaulted in this way.
Unfortunately, his brother was the one he was standing with when this happened. And so both him and his brother, who is a police officer, has been assaulted and has been helping the police in their investigations. As for the rest of his family, they are very concerned. They have been there with him. They are upset, and as the general public in Grenada has been, just as upset as anybody else of what took place.
Yeah.
And they're just being supportive and trying to be normal human beings.
Coach, you could never, I'm sure in your experience, you would have helped athletes recover from injuries. You would never have been in a position where you're helping an elite athlete recover from the kind of injuries that Anderson is looking to recover from now. You said that this was like his first time at Carnival in 9 years, and who would have thought that the first time out in 9 years at something like this, and he would have been victimized in this way. What spirits are he? What spirits? In terms of his frame of mind, his well-being. What has he said to you? The little that he has said to you. I know you say you haven't been trying to talk to him too much, trying to let him rest. But his spirits. Describe his spirits for us at this time.
Yesterday, he probably would have been a little more down. Today, he was a little bit more bouncy. He spoke a lot more today. You know, we had conversations that brought out some laughter and all of that. He's optimistic about continuing the season and not dwelling too much on what has happened. And as I said, he's really trying to be off social media and all of that kind of things, because you don't want to be adding insult to injury by seeing some comments that you did not make and a person say things that did not happen. So he is in good spirits. He's thinking the way that I want him to think as an athlete who has had an unfortunate incident happen, and you have to recover and try to bounce back from that as fast as possible.
Yeah, last thing to ask you before you go, Coach. Last thing to ask you. Can Anderson swim?
Fortunately, yes. Anderson grew up in a village that is known for swimming, and there's a boating culture. His dad is a fisherman by trade, so he is a pretty good swimmer. So that's a fortunate part of it. I think you're trying to get at the fact that he was thrown into the water.
Yeah. And I did say last thing, but look, you've known this man for so long, and you've achieved so much success with him. How did you feel the first time you saw that video?
Heartbroken. And sometimes you think about confronting your fears, right? And I think that flashed before my eyes, look, a lifetime of work and commitment to a program, a project like building a world champion. It could be gone in the twinkling of an eye, because the kind of beating that was dished out to him and the place that it happened, many things could have happened. And we are thankful that not many things of those range of things that could have happened. He could have knocked his head on the boat or when he thrown into the water, because it was pretty close to the stony area of the carriage. And so many things could have happened there that could have ended his career or ended his life, Fortunately, the ankle is a sprain and not a broken ankle or something more major, so that was my fear, I still haven't looked at the videos in its entirety. I try not to do that. It brings tears to my eyes. I haven't really had a really good night rest since. And there are many persons close to Anderson that have been reporting that they couldn't sleep because they looked at the beatings and it was so savage and all things like that. So I'm kind of like the same way. So I try not to go too much into it.
Yeah. We have to leave it there, Coach. I want to thank you for speaking with us. And as we bid you farewell, are you confident they didn't know who he was, his attackers?
I must say I don't think anyone involved knew he was, and I think that had they known, the approach would have been different. It's just regrettable that that people would treat one another, human beings, in that manner.
Thank you very much for your time. We wish you all the best. We wish him all the best. And we'll be in touch to get an update on his progress as you try to get him right again to continue the outstanding season that he's had so far.
Thank you very much, sir.
All the best to you. You know, someone said something, an Instagram comment to the video I posted with the incident.
Yes.
And they said something that is so right. I was thinking the same thing. People often ask me, why do rappers walk with these huge entourages? And I said, well, they'll get robbed. People will just walk up to them, see them with their girlfriend, embarrass them, assault them. So they have to have strength. You know, Biggie Smalls sang about rolling 30 deep. That means you're rolling with a crew of 30 men.
Yes.
You don't see Bounty Killer by himself. There's a huge entourage behind him for a reason. And someone said, that's why people often ask, why do athletes roll with entourages? This is why. Because if he has an entourage, it should have been a different thing.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Coach
No,
said,
this is a pretty serious story. I mean, we've spent upwards of 25 minutes now on this story. And that is because I'm not sure if all our viewers connect with the depth of this story. Because we are, and Coach Paul Phillip just said it, yes, they may not have known who he was. And of course, that is pertinent. It's pertinent to the story. But even if he was just a normal bloke, this still would have been a poor example of humanity. So it's very, very sad that the world champion, the first ever javelin world champion from this region, there was an Olympic champion from Trinidad and Tobago, but first ever world champion in javelin from the Caribbean, would find himself in this situation. And right now, his season is up in the air. He is scheduled to compete at a Diamond League meet late August, and his coach just said 15 minutes ago on the show that right now they are unsure if he'll compete. Interesting too that he did make reference to a legal team talking to the family and so on, and this is heading into a legal direction, and we can't blame him for going on this path.
not at all. And you know, Coach, apart from talking about the fact that if this is how you treat a human being, you know, I can't even imagine mentally now how Anderson Peters will, you know, deal with this situation. Will he be the same Anderson Peters that existed before this situation? That's something also to consider. And will Carnival mean the same thing to him again? Will he feel safe going out of his house into social settings? All these things are, of course, things to consider. And it's just a story that Coach said heartbreaking. I will say that angers me.
The one thing as we break that I'm happy to see the various departments, various countries at the heads of government to prevent a diplomatic incident. We don't want Grenadians hating Trinis, and we don't want Trinis feeling some kind of way, to put it in our parlance, when interacting with Grenadians. But justice must take its course. And justice, I suspect that we'll get justice in this case.
Agreed.